Now it's time to do some word problems. I think everybody enjoys word problems more than most anything else they've ever done in math in their whole life. To solve word problems in math, you need to follow just a few simple procedures. First of all, you need to assign variables. You really can't find what you're looking for unless you know, so give it a name, assign variables. Once you've assigned variables, you want to read the problem very carefully and form an equation. Once you have the equation, you're basically through. So all you have to do then is to solve the equation and write the answer. So when you're solving word problems, be sure that you follow the 4 steps. 1, assign variables. 2, get the equation. 3, solve the equation. 4, give the answer. Now I prefer that you write the answer in sentence form. Let's look at an example. One number is 5 more than a smaller number. Their product is 150. Find the larger number. The first step is to assign variables. Well, it tells me we're talking about 2 numbers. One number is 5 more than a smaller number. So I have a smaller number, I have a larger number. The larger number is 5 more than the smaller number. So I need to assign some expression to both the smaller number and the larger number. Since the larger number is expressed in terms of the smaller number, I'm going to let the smaller number be x. Now you can use any letter. Some of you may prefer n or something else. But we're going to let x be the smaller number. The reason is the larger number is expressed in terms of the smaller number. So x has to be what everything else is expressed in terms of. Now the larger number is 5 more than a smaller number. More, 5 more. More means that you add. So the larger number is going to be x plus 5. 5 more than the smaller number. The larger number is 5 more than the smaller number. We only have 2 variables, so now we are through assigning variables. The next step is to write the equation. Now I've run out of space to see the problem, but I think we can get it written down here. Write the equation. Here it says their, referring to the 2 numbers, their product is 150. So the product of these 2 numbers is 150. The product is the answer to a multiplication problem. So if I multiply these 2 numbers, I get 150. So that's going to give me x times x plus 5 is equal to 150. Or I can write that as x squared plus 5x is equal to 150. When I distribute, x times x is x squared, x times 5 is 5x is equal to 150. Now once I get the equation, my third step is to solve it. So we want to solve the equation x squared plus 5x is equal to 150. To solve the equation, the first step is to put it in standard form. So I need to subtract 150 from both sides to get x squared plus 5x minus 150 is equal to 0. Now I need to factor the left member. So if I factor this, I can get x and x. My signs have to be different, so I'm going to put a minus and a plus. Now how can I get 150? Well, you might want to think of several combinations In fact, you may want to stop the tape and write down the combinations before I have a chance to write them down, just to see that you can come up with the same ones. But I think what's going to work is going to be 10 and 15. 10 times 15 is 150, and this we'll check. X times x is x squared. This will be a positive 15 and a minus 10, which will be a positive 5, and then a negative 150. Now I set each factor equal to 0. So I have x minus 10 is equal to 0, or x plus 15 is equal to 0. Well, if x minus 10 is equal to 0, then we know, if I add 10 to both sides, that x is 10. If x plus 15 is equal to 0, then by adding a negative 15 to both sides, I get x is a negative 15. Now we need to go back to the smaller number. The smaller number can be 10, or it can be negative 15. So the smaller number could be 10. The smaller number could be a negative 15. Now if the smaller number is 10, the larger number is 15. If the smaller number is negative 15, then the larger number is going to be a negative 15 plus 5, which is negative 10. Now let me go back over that. Notice down here in solving, we got that x was 10, or x was negative 15. So there are two values for x, because when you have a quadratic equation, you expect two answers. X stands for the smaller number. So the smaller number can be 10, or it can be negative 15. Now if the smaller number is 10, then the larger number is 15. So these two go together. If the smaller number is negative 15, then the larger number is negative 10. Now of course the way I get the larger number is simply add 5 to the smaller number. 10 plus 5 is 15, and negative 15 plus 5 is negative 10. Now the last step in the problem is to give the answer. Well, I have two answers. I have the larger number, and see I said just find the larger number. So the larger number could be negative 15. The larger number could be 15, or the larger number could be negative 10. So I'm going to write the answer in sentence form. The larger number is either 15 or negative 10. You should have it written on your paper. I can't look back up and see it, but I believe the larger number, let me check. The larger number is either 15 or negative 10. Okay, that's what I have. The larger number is either 15 or negative 10. You probably can't read this last sentence, but I told you what it says. The larger number is either 15 or negative 10. Well, that was fun. Let's look at another word problem.